You may have heard about how the City of Lakeville is encouraging participation in a World of Hearts campaign. Today we're going to learn how to make a tissue paper Suncatcher using glue and tissue paper. Colorful hearts in your front windows are a sign of hope and also are a way of showing support to all the people who continue to work on the front line, such as healthcare workers, police and fire, delivery trucks, and many more people. So with that, we're going to get started. It's not very many supplies at all. If you've got tissue paper at home, I chose red, dark pink, and a light pink. But you could really use whatever color tissue paper you have, as long as you end up with a heart shape for your project. Then also you will need either glue, or I used Mod Podge. There's really no difference. This is just a water-based sealer and glue that I use in other projects, and I happen to have a lot of it on hand. And then also a brush. If you've got a paper plate, or a paper bowl, this is what I use to mix up my glue mixture in. And then you're going to need some paper and wax paper for your heart shapes. And I think that is about it. So with that, we're going to get started. I pre-cut out the heart shape out of a piece of white paper, and then I use that to trace onto a piece of wax paper a heart shape, and that is actually going to be our base for the project. So we're finished with this template. I'll set that aside, and I like to work on a piece of tinfoil. I forgot to mention that, but you don't have to if you don't want to. I cut my tissue paper, but you don't have to cut it. If you've got little kids that would prefer to rip it, that works too. Either way, as long as you end up with a pile of shapes. So I'm just going to push that aside here. This is kind of a messy project, I'll warn you. So if you want to work in a spot that's well covered, I think that would be advised. And you put down your wax paper, and then move this aside too. And then you take your glue mixture, and what it is just part glue and part water. You don't want it to be too watery, because I found that if it was too watery, it wouldn't really, the tissue paper, it didn't form a thick enough skin for the tissue paper, and you'll see why later. But this is really all you do. You paint your wax paper with this, or brush on this glue mixture onto your wax paper heart. And try to get it super thick, because you want it to be, like I said, you want it to kind of form a skin of glue when it dries. Put a thick layer on. Okay, that looks good. And then you just carefully lay down your shapes of tissue paper. And if you go off the edge of the heart, that's okay, because once it's dry, you can actually cut that part. So, and then you also want to try and overlap each piece a little bit if you can. There were some spots where I didn't, and that worked out okay. But if you do the overlap, then you're going to have a little bit more solid heart versus like, I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but there are spots where I didn't cover, and then it's just clear there, which that's fine too. There's no right or wrong with this project. It's all about making something bright and colorful. And I made quite a few hearts for my window, but just so that it would make a bigger impact. You can make different sizes. I just chose one pattern, but you can make small ones, big ones. Once you get started with this, it's kind of fun to just keep going. Okay, after you get all of the tissue paper laid down, then you take your brush and your glue and you put another coat of the glue mixture. Try to be careful about not getting wrinkles in the tissue paper. And by that I mean, if you brush too hard, they might lift up a little bit. And I think, it just looks better if it doesn't have any, if it's smooth and doesn't have any of those wrinkles in it. But again, if you accidentally get a few of them, that's okay. It's just going to add a little bit more texture to it. Okay, and now once you get that stuff done, you're going to want to let it dry overnight. And then just cover your windows in the front of the house so that when people drive by or walk by, they can see the love and support that you are showing to the rest of the world. Thank you so much.